coming in 1 second. I see live. It seems like it's taking some time.
On my screen, it says we're live.
Oh, you see it. Okay, so maybe I don't
Yeah,
see it.
that's what it
All right.
says on mine.
Okay, hello everybody. We are another day of Graduate Power. This is Dean Elsa Sofia Morote. I'm so excited today because we are presenting a new graduate course, and we have a Professor Adam Want, who actually was the person who created the course. The course is how to begin a nonprofit organization. And most of you probably asking how I can actually create an organization. This summer, we have an intense course on Agos, and we will talk in a few minutes about that, and we will teach you how to do it. Professor Adam Scott Want is an assistant professor of public policy, a member of the full-time faculty of the Department of Public Management at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. He's also a member of the graduate faculty in the Master of Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity program, and regularly teach information security and other courses. In this moment, he also teach in United States Military Academy at West Point. And of course, he is a lawyer, correct? Or
I
maybe
am.
yeah. So
I'm
he's
an
a
attorney.
lawyer and he have a lot of experience in how to set a nonprofit organization. So we decided to create this course, and he said, you know what, I have all the experience, the knowledge, and he's a great professor. So he designed it, and we will have this summer for the first time in John Jay. So Professor Adam Want, please tell us more about this course and how it's structured and these 3 intense weeks, how will we go? Tell us about the course.
I would be happy to, but first, let me thank you, Dean Marote, for providing this opportunity not only to me, but to the John Jay community. I have received such wonderful emails from alumni and students who are interested in starting their own nonprofits that it really inspired me to work with you and others to build an incredibly rich and fulfilling experience. This course, which is I'm an attorney in New York. I've done all my practice in New York. Every nonprofit I've ever been involved with is in New York. So we're going to look at nonprofits, or what New York calls not-for-profit, in the context of setting one up in New York and in New York City. Eventually, this will be a fully online course through John Jay Online and the Certificate in Social Entrepreneurship. However, this time around, I decided I wanted to teach it live. It would be in person, but because of the pandemic, we're having it on Zoom. So it's a 3-week intensive course that we're meeting every night for a few hours on Zoom for 3 weeks straight, Monday through Thursday. And what we're going to be doing is 2 things. The students will be focusing in and learning on what a nonprofit is and what they should be thinking about when starting it. More particularly, I'm a hands-on person. Most of the courses I teach are technology-based and computer forensics based. So I believe in hands-on learning, and the students in this course will be they'll be coming up in the beginning of the course with an idea for their own nonprofit, and all of the work that they do over the course of the semester, all the assignments, 100% of the work will be revolving around creating their fictional nonprofit organization. And at the end of the course, they'll have like a manual or a handbook of all the documents, procedures, laws, and everything else that they need to do if they ever want to make that nonprofit a reality. Now, of course, as an attorney, I'll say that this is not legal advice. We're not here to legally advise them how to create a nonprofit. But I think that they'll get a major amount of experience. And I'll go into the different parts of the course in a minute. But what I get out of this, in the fall, I'm going to be creating this course as an online course. I wanted to teach this course once with actual students to feel out the curriculum. and get a really good understanding on the assignments and what makes the best course for the John Jay community. So that's kind of my goal for this summer. Find some wonderful students and spend a few weeks both creating an incredible course and inspiring students to be more involved in the types of work a nonprofit organization would do.
This is a long-term dream of me to have a nonprofit course, and they moved that to advanced certificate on social innovation and entrepreneurship. That would be our ultimate goal, and this course is the key course for that advanced certificate that will be, it's already approved, but while we're doing the paperwork and adding the courses, more likely we will have this running on next year on January. So people who take in this course will just transfer to the advanced certificate. And you also can take this as a part of your master's. If you are a master's student in John Jay, you have option to take electives. You can select this course as an elective. You need to talk with your director, and that will be great. Also, if you are a master's in MPA, will be directly. You don't need to talk to the director, you just go and sign it. If your master's in human rights, the same way. Human rights and MPA, they want to have this course as a part of the program. So as you will need to sign it as an elective. This is very interesting. You mentioned about the paperwork in New York and the things they will learn, because it's not that easy to create a new nonprofit organization as much believe. And also it's important about the taxes. I remember when I was creating my nonprofit, they say, oh, be careful because you need to really report like any other business. So could you tell us about what other sections, because as a business, it's really a business way, you also will talk with them. I know you will talk about teaching them about how to do business plan and how to create this brilliant idea they have and plug it in a paper or in a PowerPoint, because eventually they have to present that to the donors. Could you please tell us a little more about that?
Sure, I would be happy to. You know, I have 2 degrees from John Jay, so I'm a double John Jay alumni. And now that I'm a faculty member there, at the end of every semester, I sit down with my students and we talk about the importance of giving back to the community, whether that community be John Jay or the community that they live in or their ethnic or religious community. Giving back to the community is an extremely important part of educating for justice and bringing justice to your community. So this nonprofit or not-for-profit course will be really looking at ways to help enrich communities and help provide services in a model that's not a traditional business. So we're going to start off in weeks in sessions 1 and 2. We're going to be starting off to talk about what is a nonprofit and how does it differ from an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, or a partnership or a corporation, and what makes a nonprofit special. From there, we're going to talk in the next session about why start a nonprofit. What are the benefits of starting a nonprofit compared to doing things in other ways? From there, we're going to talk about the legal requirements of a nonprofit, especially not-for-profits in New York State and New York City, and what's required of them. We're going to talk about articles of incorporation. We're going to talk about, and not only talk about, but the students are going to create an article of incorporation for their fictional nonprofit. They're going to create bylaws for their fictional nonprofit. They're also going to look at legal requirements for making it a federal 501c3 tax exempt organization. So we're going to look at IRS requirements and New York State tax filing requirements. We're going to look at specific requirements in New York State and New York City. We're going to be studying things like federal tax law, like the Uniform Commercial Code, New York State law involving not-for-profit corporations. And then we get to do some pretty interesting things. We get to learn about the board of directors and what the board of directors of a not-for-profit are, and how do the board of directors work and why are they so important. We're going to learn strategies in how to pick your board members and how to lead your board. The value of the board is they should be, in many cases, not all, but in many cases, they should be really plugged into the community so that you could leverage your board members for fundraising and for networking in ways that you might not normally do. And maybe you'll have a board member who's a CPA or an accountant and could help you in those areas as well. We're going to be talking about seed money and finance and fundraising and donors and the best way to fund your nonprofit. Maybe it's through federal grants. Maybe it's through private foundation grants. Maybe you'll be going out in the street and raising money or putting together benefits or banquets or dinners. There are many ways a nonprofit raises money. As your nonprofit grows, you might need staff and volunteers. So we're going to talk a little bit about staffing your nonprofit and having volunteers. We're going to talk about marketing, how to get your website and your marketing for your nonprofit correctly, talking about your online presence with social media and the World Wide Web. And the fun thing here is the students are actually going to write a marketing plan and build a temporary website for their fictional nonprofit to help the public, or in this case, the class, understand what they do.
So
Finally,
I have questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, we have
one
questions.
student is asking if they can, when they raise money, the person in nonprofit receive a salary or they're all volunteers?
So a nonprofit, it works different ways. You can pay the employees of a nonprofit, and the executives of a nonprofit in certain situations could receive salaries or stipends. However, as we will learn in class, there needs to be a level of reasonable and responsibility. We've all heard of these horrible stories where nonprofit CEOs are getting paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, and they're taking advantage of the money that is being donated to their organization. We need to figure out, and we need to discuss as a class, how you could avoid those pitfalls and how through reporting and accountability and accounting, the executives or some of the employees could be paid reasonable salaries without getting the nonprofit into trouble. And those numbers normally need to be disclosed. So we will certainly talk about that. Part of the disclosure, which we will do at the end of the semester, is how to build a community of supporters, and then form a strategy and evaluation plan to strategize and evaluate your own organization and marketing plan. Who do I donate to? If you want to talk about Adam Want, the professor, who do I donate to? I donate to organizations that mean a lot to what I do. I used to be involved in emergency medical services, and I used to be a deputy EMS chief. And to this day, I still donate to the New York State Volunteer Ambulance and Rescue Association. I believe in local food and growing gardening here in New York City and in Manhattan, where I live. So I donate to a local garden in the Bronx that has community people coming in and gardening and growing fruits and vegetables and other things. We donate back to scholarships that serve minorities in our institution. So, we all have things that are important to us, and some of them already have nonprofits, and we could donate to things that we care about. So part of this course will be looking at what types of nonprofits are out there and what would mean a lot to your local community.
So a student is asking what kind of nonprofits are in New York. There's too many, but they want ideas, examples.
There are so many. I mean, we could look at things like the American Red Cross. We could look at organizations that help sheltered animals. We could look at organizations that give scholarships to certain communities. There are nonprofits that help wounded veterans. There are nonprofits that museums, for example. What a great example. I just joined recently. I became a member of the Metropolitan Museum of Art on Fifth Avenue. And part of their mission is as a nonprofit. And here's the best one for the John Jay student, the John Jay Foundation. John Jay has its own nonprofit foundation, which helps raise money to serve our students and communities in ways that are important to us. So, there's almost an unlimited there's almost an unlimited number of ideas you can come up with for your nonprofit. My brother a while ago asked me, he wanted a nonprofit to help teach inner city school kids technology skills that they didn't have. And he wanted to go overseas as well to teach underserved community school children technology skills to make them more competitive. Usually we think of nonprofits as the do-good entities that the state supports, and we're out there to do good and to do good for the community, as opposed to corporations that are there to do good for their shareholders, right? Corporations, the whole purpose of a corporation is to make their shareholders money. That's not what a nonprofit's all about. It's about giving back to the community. And we're going to talk about many different examples of that.
So another question is, how many people do you need to fund a nonprofit?
It depends on the state that you're in. And we're gonna talk about that in the class, and it depends a little bit because it's not an easy equation, but you'll need enough to staff the minimum number required on the board. So the board is the major entity that you have to staff and worry about. But depending on the type of organization, you might need like accounting services, for example, and you need to file compliance documents with the state. So you may, depending on the side, need an external audit to come in and look at your organization to make sure that there's no fraud going on. And it's not such a simple formula, but it's a formula that we will explore closely in our classroom. And you'll be able to develop plans around these standards.
All right, that was good. Now, you mentioned something about the technology. I think that's a very exciting part because now in these days, of letter of introduction is not a letter, it's really a website, a social media, how we represent ourselves. So when you guys, the students or the prospective people who will take this class, they're thinking in a nonprofit organization, they need to think about the mission, the vision, what they want to do with that, but also how they represent themselves to the world. And this is with the Facebook or social media in general, Instagram, and also the website. So that's part of the course also, correct?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I mean, you create a whole package in 3 weeks. I mean, that will be amazing part of the course for people who don't know how to do it.
It's not so scary because luckily there are some websites out there that make it easy for the public to create simple websites. As a matter of fact, I was on vacation a while ago and one of the people I was with in 4 hours created an entire website for their business while sitting in the lobby of a hotel. So there are some absolutely wonderful websites out there that make it easy to create a website for your nonprofit or business. And part of our course will be creating a website and a marketing plan for your nonprofit, your fictional nonprofit, that you decide what it's going to be.
And the people can use the free versions, and then if they actually go ahead and do it, they can use the ones that pay version for each of the things. I think that's a big plus of this class, that you are you love technology, so you also teach them how to use the technology, not only to do the websites and the social media, but also how to get those grants or how to get those money. Could you tell us more about that? What kind of sections you will have discussing about fundraising or getting monies for the?
Absolutely. So in where are we here? In module 8 of the class, which is about halfway through the semester, we're going to be specifically looking at different venues to get seed money from both private and public entities. Maybe in some cases you use your own seed money. Maybe you rely on your immediate close circle of friends. Maybe you find a federal grant or a city grant or a COVID-related grant. Maybe you find an existing organization that is giving away money. Maybe you throw a small party and you sell admission tickets and you use that money to seed your organization. If I was doing something, if I wanted to raise money, I would get some professors of mine together and we would throw a talk. We would throw a lecture at like the community center, which wouldn't be that expensive. And we would sell tickets and everyone would know that their ticket includes a deductible donation that will be used for this new nonprofit as seed money. So we're going to talk about how the different venues you can go out there to get seed money, including some of the tax consequences of using your own seed money. And then we're going to talk about the financing and fundraising going forward so that you could sustain your organization. And a lot of the ways to sustain it involve either getting money from others or throwing events or selling certain goods and services that could be used to sustain your organization permanently. I mean, everyone's dream is getting like an endowment, getting somebody with a lot of money to put $100,000 or $200,000, and then you get a portion of that every single year. We don't count on that. We have to be able to get money in other ways. But let's say you want to raise money for your local community. You could hold a barbecue in a local park with the right permits, charge people $20 to $40 a ticket, give them $5 worth of food, and put their name on your website for showing up, and that could be a way to fund your nonprofit. There's so many different ways. I'm more looking forward to the class brainstorming on ways to get seed funding than I am on teaching them ways to get seed funding.
I love it. I love all these ideas.
If there's one thing I've learned from the John Jay students is they're innovative. They're innovative and they are fierce advocates of justice. So I am looking forward on brainstorming with the students. There's going to be group work in this class. So even though you'll be working with me multiple times a week, you'll be spending a significant amount of time in small groups, helping each other brainstorm with the right ways to create your own nonprofit.
Love it. I want to be in that class also. I probably would go as sneak and hear that part.
You're welcome. Come anytime. Absolutely. I would love to have you come to the class.
Wow, I love it.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So just to remind everybody, they can register right now for the summer is open, so you can go and register. And this class is what we call summer 3, begins on August 3rd, correct?
The class is August 2nd through 18th.
August 2nd to 18th. 3 intense weeks, and you will know everything that you need to know to create a nonprofit organization, and you will have a magnificent Professor Adam. And you also will be contributing to us to create this new course, because they will be online, and your feedback or anything that you have for this class will be obviously applied. So I'm very excited.
There's one secret. There's one secret I could say.
What secret?
There's not too many times in grad school you get to earn 3 credits in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing.
This is a wonderful way to get 3 credits of a elective out of the way in 3 weeks and have a lot of fun doing it.
That's in 3 weeks you done and you learn the most important thing. So please come to sign the program. And Professor, what do you have last words before we leave?
Yeah, if you're interested in this, take this class over the summer with me, and let's all work together to learn about nonprofits and to build an incredible course for the future of John Jay. Because if there's one thing that defines educating for justice, it's giving back to your communities and giving back to vulnerable populations. And I think from knowing my students, we're all on that page. So I really look forward to my students over the summer. I suggest signing up early because there are a limited number of seats. And I absolutely am looking forward to teaching this as an attorney who's worked with nonprofits and as somebody who's been part of nonprofits since I was pretty much young. So I've done work with nonprofits my whole life, and we'll talk about that during the class. But I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to hearing the students' experiences as well.
Wow. So go ahead and sign to the course, and I will see you everybody in August 2nd. I will just go to welcome and learn from, because I like the fundraising part. I was like, all these ideas that you say, I said, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's a good idea. So thank you very much, Professor, for the class and for organizing this first class that we have in John Jay graduate courses on nonprofit. And I will see you. I'll have a beautiful summer, everybody, and I will see you on August.
Marote, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.